In the spirit of the new year, let's talk about personal development goals for 2024. Whether your goals are concrete or related to emotion, therapy can play a pivotal role. A therapist can help you create SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Not sure where to start? A therapist can guide you through stress management, anger management, and various challenges that you might be facing. Now, let me tell you about our sponsor, BetterHelp. They've made starting therapy easier and less intimidating. With over 30,000 therapists in their network, BetterHelp matches you based on your needs, preferences, and location, providing a wide range of expertise. To begin your journey, fill out a questionnaire about your challenges and therapist preferences. In most cases, BetterHelp matches you with a therapist within 48 hours. Plus, you can choose phone calls, messaging, or video chat, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Scheduling is a breeze, and if you ever feel your therapist isn't the right fit, switch with the click of a button at no additional cost. No need to break up with your therapist and start the search anew. Join over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/JMC. That's betterhelp.com/JMC. Clicking that link helps support this channel, and it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. Remember, therapy is about your well-being, and BetterHelp is here to support you every step of the way. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Take care of yourself, and here's to a year of growth and positive change.
All the way, I will be deaf when I'm older.
Where are you driving from?
Lancaster City to Lebanon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's up there now in an hour. But I don't mind it. I definitely don't mind it.
Gotcha.
I need that space. And like I said, I have fun in the car. Blast the music, sing loud. I'll play beats and try to sing on top of them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of I guess that is like my musical outlet right now for the time being. But I am looking for change soon.
Yeah. Well, so thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
I know that we've had this in the works for a while. Like we were just talking before I started recording, watching and following you on socials, seeing you perform out live that one time. I was just like, I gotta get her on. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We're talking about being busy. That's kind of like where we're starting our conversation right now.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, so let's start there then.
Okay.
Because and I'm following you. I don't do too much research, so I'm gathering a little bit here and there. There's obviously music. You're writing your music. You're performing. You're playing. Are you a teacher as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So how busy are you?
Well, that's so I'll give you like the daily schedule, I guess.
Yeah.
Morning, wake up, 4:30, 5 a.m., drive an hour to work, do the job, come home around 5 o'clock at home, and then do some grad work.
Yeah. Okay.
Try to dabble in music if I can, whether it's any medium really, writing, painting, making a beat, anything I could do. But sometimes that doesn't get to happen. And before you know it, to bed and then repeat.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
It's about 12 hours then until you're actually getting into something that's personal to you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's difficult for me is waiting all that time to finally get into something.
Right.
Are you ever too exhausted? You said sometimes it doesn't happen. Life gets in the way. Not in the way, but life happens.
Right.
You're getting tired, I'm sure. Like, how do you maintain and keep up with this?
So, yeah, I feel where the position I'm at right now, the creative outlet is somewhat inaccessible with certain circumstances that I'm in right now, living condition-wise.
Okay.
So that is one reason. And then also just tired. I notice am pushing myself to the point of just complete exhaustion with my day job, that when it comes to the personal things, it's like a mess in here. Where do I even begin to express my creativity? Because it's all just like swirling around. But
your day job is the teaching.
Yeah.
So, and that's my mom's a retired kindergarten teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember growing up like just watching her, and every now and then I would help her.
Aww.
And I knew at a young age I can't do that.
Right.
Because the amount of patience, but that's an exhausting. Being a teacher can exhaust you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've always been like, I have so much respect for teachers because of what you all do, and the patience, but also the commitment.
Yeah, the commitment's huge. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like, so when you're balancing, you mentioned there's a situation with a living condition situation. You're juggling this with working. Like, how do you find? Like, how are you pushing yourself to honor your craft?
Yeah. So, late night open mics.
Okay.
And writing a lot. So any moment I have to put pen to paper, try to kind of solidify something there. I feel like I was in a rut for a little while, as most of us artists kind of, you know, ebb and flow. But recently I've kind of gained that inspiration back and have been more consistent in putting the pen to paper and coming up with ideas here and there. But it is the late night open mics that I go to, and I might be tired the next day, but I always promise to give myself 100% in the classroom. Yeah. No matter what.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Late night open mics, when I was interviewing K-Rock, that came up.
Yeah.
So that seems to be, and obviously I don't want to speak for a musical artist because I don't do that, but I'm assuming that is like a breath of fresh air. It's something new every time. Yeah. Can you explain to me, like, what is it about that awakens you for that moment?
Yeah, it's just the opportunity to express myself freely, and the people there are a breath of fresh air to be around. I'm always leaving satisfied and content, and I enjoy it. Yeah. It's I guess what you could call my social time. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you social? Or do you have a social life? Do you how's that for you?
Yeah, my social life. Something when you get in your 20s, that social life.
It don't get any better. I'm in my 40s.
I think when I get to my 30s, they say you're lucky if you have one friend. Yeah. If you have one good friend. So I do have a best friend. Her and I, she used to be a teacher. She's not anymore, and sometimes I'm a bit jealous, but her and I try to meet every here and there when we can, and go get drinks and just catch up. So that's my best friend. Other than that, not a big social life.
You don't really do you want one, or is that something like I'm an introvert, so I could really be all right without it.
I'm the same way. Yeah. I like my alone time, and I like that space to create and kind of be by myself. So I don't care for one. Yeah. Yeah. And then it'll come to the point too. Sometimes I'll make plans, and then I'll be like, I don't really know if I feel like going now.
I think everybody goes through that. There's like a moment where you're like, or you kind of hope that maybe something gets canceled, so you can be like, oh, that sucks. Yeah, okay, maybe next time. But really, you're like,
yes. Free time. Absolutely. The social battery too. It drains really fast.
I would think what you're doing that really drains your social battery. And not so much the different hats that you're wearing, but just strictly focusing on the music and the creativity. And you are performing. You have to be in front of an audience. You have to perform live. You have to that social battery of yours is constantly being depleted. So, like, what do you do to refill your cup, to honor that about your life? Like, how are you going about maintaining that part?
That's a good question. It is performing in front of kids, and then performing in front of people. trying to practice mindfulness, going to therapy now, which has been,
That's awesome.
my therapist is probably like my guardian angel. She's wonderful. And what else am I doing to fill my cup? I could do better at filling it right now.
That's okay. That's okay though.
Yeah, definitely could do better at filling it. It's hard when you're busy to fill that cup and put yourself first, but it's so essential. It's like a glass of water, and then you need that water to be clear, but the moment you put glitter in it or something crazy, I don't know, and you swirl it around, and to bring that glitter back at a standstill and have that clarity is essential. Something I need to work on for sure.
That's a pretty cool way to explain it, because I can see it.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, everything's swirling around. Now you need to wait for all that to settle down so you can see.
Right.
And it's like the easiest thing is to be like, I need to give myself some time and give myself grace and be patient and take a day for me. But that's the hardest thing to do.
Right.
Speaking for myself as a creative with the podcast, it's hard to turn it off.
It is.
Especially when I have like these ideas and I'm like chomping at the bit. Like you know, so I can only imagine like when you're creatively inspired musically, or even if you're jotting down some lyrics and that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Especially like, I mean, I've heard you sing. You sound fantastic.
Oh,
I love your
you.
music. So like, I is it fair to say that when it comes to that, the creative process never really does stop for you?
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
It's even in the classroom, I will say things that even are teachable moments to myself, creatively. We practice a lot of social emotional learning and kind of intertwining that like with it's hard to put into words, but
yeah.
I do see like myself teaching myself and also engaging in creative moments in the classroom.
Okay.
That kind of translate back and it never turns off.
No, but I like
it's hard
that.
to explain.
But I like what you're saying there, because it's almost like the opportunity you have with teaching children is an opportunity for you to teach yourself, or maybe like you're giving yourself what you need through the act of teaching.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is pretty beautiful if you think about it. I mean, a lot of people don't. I don't want to speak for all teachers, or any teachers, but I don't know if many teachers do that. Like, take the time to like fill their cup through actual. There's a lot of people that are probably just showing up for a paycheck, which isn't any type of job and career. How are you with teaching? Talk to me about this side of you, because this is. What grade? What age group are you teaching?
Third grade.
Okay, third grade.
Yeah.
So they're not too young, but they're young enough to. Do you find yourself being like, hey,
settle down.
Y'all gotta calm,
calm down. Today I said I need to go take an Advil because y'all disrupted my peace.
Well, you're so like polite and quiet right now. Like I can't see you in the classroom. But do you ever get to the point where you're like standing on the stool because you're up there trying to be like, hey, listen to me?
Today, yesterday, and probably tomorrow.
I know I perform for you, but this is a different teacher now.
It really is. It's funny because everybody that knows me says I'm really quiet and soft-spoken. And I'll be like, oh. To the one coworker, I yelled today. And she was like, did it sound like this? And I'm like, no. I really yelled. I have a voice. I can do it. But it's interesting because even in the music area, some people will say, oh, you're so quiet. Or whatchamacallit, I know my boyfriend is like pushing me. He said, you should try like a high, like going, belting.
Belt it out.
Yeah, belt it out. And maybe there's a correlation there. But there are times when I do need to go and take an Advil. And
yeah.
But overall, they inspire me a lot.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that area of work. And as there's a lot of issues with education right now, for sure. A lot of things that don't make me happy or make other teachers happy. But my mission is just to focus on one day at a time.
Yeah.
Because if I think about a whole week or a whole month, it's too much.
Yeah.
And most of my best teaching practices will be when I do focus on that one day, and then I have all that energy just for that day, and tomorrow will be another day.
Yeah.
You know.
When you said there's certain things, is it the politics and the shit that not literally and figuratively, like, you know, the red tape that I feel takes place in schools, and I'm sure like on the other side of the door where the staff and the teachers are dealing with like how is that for you? Are you one to like you just kind of hinted to, you kind of just want to just focus on what you can control? Are you that type of person? You don't like to kind of get lost in the sauce with the other stuff?
Yeah, no, I keep to myself, and don't engage in the negativity that goes around. And man, teachers talk.
Yeah.
In that
There's a lot of
faculty
teaching.
room.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's one thing I learned as a young kid. Yeah.
Really, as a young
well,
kid.
because my mom would, as I got older, my mom kind of like confided in me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was her oldest. And, you know, there were times where she would share things about what's going on with some of these teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And it was almost kind of like, by this point I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like you don't think of, when I think of a teacher, I think of the teacher that I see in the classroom.
Yeah.
You don't think of teachers having adult lives or doing adult things. And it's almost like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the gossip and the people talk. You're right.
Yeah, people talk.
And what sucked for me was that many people knew my mom. So
Yeah.
I went to, it's not there anymore. It's not called James Buchanan anymore.
Oh, okay.
On Southwest End.
Yeah. That's where I live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was. I went to Buchanan and Wheatland.
Awesome.
All the teachers in that school
Yeah.
knew my mom, who worked in Fulton.
Okay, yeah.
So I couldn't do anything. Not that I was a bad kid.
Right.
But there were times when my mom, as an adult, she was like, remember this teacher? Remember that teacher?
Yeah.
There were problems there.
So
it's almost like, wow.
Yeah.
Teachers have, like, it makes sense. You know, you guys aren't robots.
No.
And obviously I'm not looking for gossip, but you're telling me that were you shocked to find out that teachers talk
Yeah.
as much as they do?
Oh, yeah. What shocked me the most was how we talk about teaching kids kindness and no bullying and things like that, but every day there's some adult doing that, and it makes your energy just like, no, I don't want to be around that, you know. So pretty much I keep to myself and talk to my team. My team's really great.
Well, that's
yeah,
good.
I have a great team, so that's nice. But it's not always like that.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess, in every area in life, that's kind of just what happens, and you have to just learn how to kind of stay with your blindfolds on.
Yeah.
And not focus on that. It really hinders your work.
Yeah.
You know,
that was actually kind of be my next question was, is this a good example of how you go about living your life in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just don't like to get involved in the mess. Frequency and energy. I like paying attention to people's energy.
Yeah.
And the good energy I look for. The bad energy I try to stay away from. When it comes to that, then how does that play a role in being a creative? Because a lot of, especially as an artist that's making music, there's a lot of storytelling and a lot of pain and happiness. But in order to talk about the pain, you really have to experience it. So how do you balance this world of experiencing pain, talking about it, but then trying to stay away from it in your everyday life?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm excited to answer that because I can't write a love song to save my life.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
You talking about like Like a genuine, like an
Like
uplifting love song or a heartbreaking?
uplifting
Uplifting,
yeah,
yeah,
uplifting heart
yeah.
love song. I can't do it. I've tried. I wrote a piece of one but can't finish it.
Yeah.
And I love my boyfriend dearly, but
Yeah.
I can't do it. And then but when it comes to writing about the pain and writing about, the more melancholy things, somehow that comes easier for me. And
Yeah.
and maybe you kind of answered one of the questions I've had with internally with why it's difficult for me to write or engage in songwriting in a happy manner. But I think I see a lot of pain. We all have been through so much as individual people. We have our own lives, but being able to channel that into writing, it definitely is a therapeutic thing for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can definitely appreciate that.
A lot of have been really dabbling into rap structure recently, and I love it. I love it so much.
What is it about the structure then that's pulling you in?
I think a lot of the rap music is that I've been listening to in old hip hop, and I love Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, cool.
And just really drawn to how he will say something in a way that you would have never thought about, like saying it. And it was something that you were thinking about and you thought nobody else thought about that.
Yeah.
And that structure is I feel like I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
As being a quiet person, I have a lot in my head. I feel I have a lot to say, and sometimes that opportunity of writing a rap structured song, you can just keep going and keep going.
Yeah, I love that. When you were saying it's hard to write a love song.
Yeah.
I brought this up a couple times, but I used to make music. I used to rap back in my heyday.
Really?
And I remember as I kind of wrote my last project in 2015, and then my life changed. I met my wife. I'm a happy man. I went through a divorce, and now I met my wife, and my life is different. I can't really write like I used to because I learned that I was writing always in a dark place.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I write? Sometimes I'm like, man, I just want to write. Like, I just want to rap. I don't want to talk about anything personal.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, because that was all I ever did.
Right.
And you're right. It was like I did that, and I always felt better.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also kind of like, damn, like I can't channel. I can't channel this craft that I used to love doing any other way but that.
Right.
And I was like, well, maybe that it was meant for me at that time in my life to just be therapeutic.
Right.
Which rap is, it's poetry and it's a beautiful art form. So I can appreciate that because I think it's pretty cool. Like, I never heard of anybody that can sing and play music that was focusing on a rap structure. But do you dabble in, like, are you a student of different musical genres? What kind of music are you listening to?
Currently listening to Nas and Kendrick and orchestral movie soundtracks and stuff like that. I remember as a kid, we would watch movies as a family, and my favorite part was the credits.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would sit there, and just everybody would be gone, and it was the music, not really so much the people.
The credits.
Yeah, the credits themselves. I would just sit there though and enjoy the music, and would really feel an emotional connection to the piece that felt so strong.
Yeah.
So I love strings, and I love saxophone and the piano and all that. It's beautiful.
I never realized, like, I don't even know if they sell soundtracks anymore. You could buy, back in the day, you'd buy the CD of a movie soundtrack. But I know on Spotify, like, when I can listen to soundtracks on Spotify. You don't really realize the amount of composition that's in a movie until you just listen to it without the actual movie. Like, the different scenes that have different compositions that
Right.
evoke the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't know a lot of composers, but Alan Silvestri composed the Rocky theme.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the actual name of the actual song, but it's one of those like iconic sounds
Yeah.
as soon as you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And it like it's just crazy how not seeing the movie but hearing the composition, like
Yeah.
just you can see the story, you can tell what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. So I can appreciate that, because I don't know if like I'm gonna sound like an old guy now, but if today's kids, if they understand, like, you know, like when you're watching a
Mm-hmm.
movie and everything that you're hearing, you're not realizing the composition that you're hearing, how it's
Mm-hmm.
playing a role also
Right.
in what you're watching. So when it comes to cinematography or cinematic experiences, are you big on that as well?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big driving force for all of my music. 'Cause
Yeah?
I have to visualize almost like a movie in my head that I guess compose on my own.
Yeah.
And it has, it just has to be a movie, and it has to tell a story.
Would you be interested in one day like writing music for a movie? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
I
the
can hear
biggest
it.
goal. Yeah, I would love to compose. So I wish my biggest goal after teaching, I'd like to do it for 2 more years,
Yeah.
and then I want to study music theory, and kind of I'm self-taught pretty much. I mean, I took classical lessons for till college, and then but he would always ask me, "What note is that?" And he was a phenomenal teacher.
Yeah. You wouldn't know?
I couldn't do it.
Is that common for a lot of artists to be self-taught, like in music?
Yeah,
Is it?
Because
That blows me away that you just said that,
yeah.
because you're so damn good.
Aw,
Like, how
thank
is
you.
that? Is that common?
So I know one person that is self-taught. I could think of a couple people, that
I
are
think it just
self-taught.
blows me away, because I can't play a piano to save my life. I
Aw.
can't sing. I can't. So, for when people are like, I taught myself how to play a guitar. I'm like,
Right.
how?
Like, where did you
How
begin?
do you start?
Yeah.
I can understand that it's possible, but my
Yeah.
brain just can't wrap it around it. So that's pretty cool. So you're self-taught. You'd like to get into music theory.
Yeah.
So there's different elements then when it comes to music. It's not so much performing and playing, but it's actually like you're a student of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would ask me those questions, and I remember when I looked at him and I said, I can't read this. And I never talked
He's like, how'd
during
you
the
get
lessons.
this far?
And he was he was a prestige man, like very proper.
Okay.
and
Okay.
I never really spoke to him. He would tell me what to do, and I'd say, okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I said, at one point when I got older, I said, I can't read this. And he asked me, well, how have you been reading it since I've taught you? And he started teaching me when I was 8. And I said, I listen. And that's kind of where I realized that I learned better by ear, and
Wow.
started to explore that area of my learning process more. And it opened up a lot of doors for me in terms of performancing and having a wide array of covers and things like that. So
So
yeah.
you're listening and mimicking what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and learning that way.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're memorizing what these keys are
Mm-hmm.
because you're listening and you're playing. I mean,
Yeah.
I to me that just that's mind blowing. I think that's cool because
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anybody just being able to do that. That's why I was just like,
Yeah.
I've heard several people say that in my
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, like, oh, I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
Drummers and bassists and it's just like, I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you find it then like someone that's self-taught and then getting into a possible scenario where they have to then learn the music versus somebody that learns the music? What's easier? Do you think it's easier to be self-taught and then trying to jump into learning the music?
Yeah. So there's someone I know who knows music theory inside and out. And I think because he has that knowledge, he can go up on the stage and just on the bass, the piano, the guitar, probably the drums, just incredible. And I think because he has that knowledge, he's able to be able to dabble in instruments effortlessly. For me personally, I would have to take time, and I get so nervous if somebody asks me, "Do you want to come up and jam?" I'm usually like, "No."
Really?
Yeah, I usually am like, "Mm-mm."
So you like the
Yeah.
What is that about? What is it about that turns you off then?
I think fear.
Yeah.
Definitely fear.
The fear of
failing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's not performing,
right?
Is it? Because you can do it, or is it just you want to do it on your terms? You kind of want to be caught off guard.
Yeah, and don't want to be caught off guard. I definitely have a lot of perfectionistic tendencies too, and sometimes it's a curse, sometimes it's a blessing, and yeah, I get really nervous when somebody asks me, and then they'll be up on stage getting ready to play, and I'm just still sitting there, even though they ask me, "You coming?" I say, "Yeah, I guess," and then they'll be like, "You still coming?" I'm okay.
I thought you'd forget.
Yeah, I thought you would forget that by now.
So you still get nervous then?
Yeah.
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 Which is kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it's cool, but it shows like your humanity. You're not a robot. So
right.
You're still nervous when you perform, but is it something that quickly goes away once you start performing?
Yeah. So it depends. Usually it will. I recently tried a newer song on Monday night at the open mic just to practice it with K-Rock, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was nervous and didn't do it the way I liked it. So definitely that I have to have control.
Sure.
You know.
I know that feeling very well. Yeah.
It's hard to have. Sometimes you really can't control certain things, and you just have to be patient with yourself, and that's tricky sometimes.
One of the things I'm learning, and the irony is this is what I'm going through right now, this very moment, like I was hinting to, where it's kind of like I'm really bad at control because I have this vision.
Yeah.
I know what I want. I know how I want it. I've seen myself do it already, so I know I can do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always happen. And I need to really stop setting myself up for a failure, because I get mad when it doesn't work out the way I want it to.
Yeah.
And so like there's this liberating feeling of being like, then I don't have control. The hell with it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like every part of my OCD brain is screaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
absolutely.
But it's also liberating, because it's like, okay, well then if I don't have control, then it is what it is, and I'm just going to go about it and have fun with it. Sometimes while you're trying to maintain control, you lose like the initial joy that you had for said thing.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, you know, when this used to be fun for you. And I was like, well, it is still fun. I'm just going through a lot of ugly days to get to this fun. And the fun's so short lived.
Ah, yeah, right.
You know, because then the cycle starts all over for me. I got to get ready for the next week. So when you tell me that you want to have control and it's tricky, I feel like that's part of the journey, is like experiencing that but then humbling yourself to be like, you know, let this teach me.
Yeah.
You know, do you find yourself like when life teaches us lessons, do you feel you're a student of life? Do you pay attention to things like that? Some people don't really get in that deep into it.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
I've really been trying to pay attention more recently than before. You mentioned that vision.
Yeah.
That's I can speak to that and agree completely, that I see this path for me that I want to achieve and keep achieving, and that fear of failure is definitely still at the top. But someone once told me change is inevitable, and it's going to happen. It's beautiful, and it's also scary at the same time, but also complacency where you're at right now is also beautiful, because I forget what he said exactly, but it really spoke to me, and trying to take little lessons that I learned from people, or whether it's certain moments, whether teaching, performing, anything. Yeah, been really open to it lately.
Yeah, that's
and
so
just
cool.
taking it all in.
Yeah, I
Definitely
mean, you kind of
student
come
of
off
life.
like you are that type of person, just the
Yeah.
vibes I'm getting. And
Mhm.
paying attention to when I mentioned frequency and energy, you seem to
Yeah.
understand what I was talking about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, paying attention to like when people come into your life for a certain season or for
Yeah.
seasons,
Right.
what are you gaining from them?
Mhm.
Things that I've learned from people that they are either some other place in the country or they're no longer with us. I've taken something from them and
Right.
applied it to my life.
Yeah.
And I think when you get older, you start to realize how important that part is.
Yeah.
And I think when that happens, then you start understanding the control thing isn't really in your control.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You
And
have to
it's
just go
okay.
with the flow.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when you start picking up the lessons even more,
Yeah.
because you're more open to that experience of, oh, this didn't work out, but why? Well, here's why.
Yeah.
And you get to work on it. And that's all part of life, I think.
Yeah. When it comes to the people that you're surrounding yourself with, obviously we talked about K-Rock and
Yeah.
Tony Brownhart. Being a creative, is it important for you to surround yourself with the right people who are creatively in line, or are you okay with different types of creatives that you kind of work with and
Yeah.
learn from? Like, how does that work for you?
Definitely open to all creatives. In terms of surrounding myself, I can be picky with
Yeah.
in social circles.
Well, that's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first started out going to open mics a while ago, yeah, you have to be careful with who you surround yourself
Gotcha.
with, for sure. And I had to learn that the hard way.
What was that?
Hard. Not in a good relationship at the time.
Okay.
And I got a bloody nose.
Okay.
So that one day, and I walked in, and there was a girl who used to do music at this one place, and so she saw that I was bleeding, and very kind at first, and then we went back to the studio. The person I was dating at the time, as well as two other people and her who was kind enough to take care of me and show care of what happened. But then when we got to the studio, it was odd because she was sitting next to the person I was with at the time, and she got mad at me, and she wanted to fight me.
Wow.
It was very intense, and that was my first fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what that was about.
Mm-mm.
It's just
Nope.
that energy thing where it's kind of like, what was it about
Right.
that situation that switched?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely anxiety provoking.
Sure.
So I try to be really careful with in all areas of who I'm surrounding myself with, and because I have one life and it needs to be good.
Yeah. There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
And when it comes to playing music with creatives, I'm picky on that too, because I have a certain style and I want to keep that to my own. So I truly trust Kay,
Yeah.
and him and I can play something for the first time, and he just knows the direction I want to go, and I know where he wants to go with it, and it's always a blast.
Yeah. Well, he spoke the same of you, and I remember him. Even we were having a similar conversation in regards to like when he was telling me how he can pretty much play anything with somebody. Open mic night. I keep saying open mic night. Open night mic. And I was like, how is that? And he said, do you like doing that? He goes, well, there's times where he'll do what you want him to do, but he likes to add his little flavor to it.
Absolutely.
And he said that it's difficult because there's some people that don't like that, but people like yourself, he said, where that there was just like that. He can trust you to ride along with the beat the way he's providing, and he can trust that you'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming when you have that type of that bond there,
Yeah.
that safety net, does the creativity then really flourish from it, where it's like, let's start doing some new things that we probably wouldn't do anywhere else? Yeah,
absolutely. It's always different. Always different when I play with him, and you never know what's going to come from it. So we were talking about control. He really gives me the opportunity to just be free.
Cool.
And we will take a song that we've played so many times before, and then it'll always go in just some different direction. And that trust is important. So he's definitely in my circle.
There you go. How is that then when you're playing something so many times but it's different? Is it fair to say that can you ever play it again that way?
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes, yeah. So in order for that to happen, we'll have to talk to each other.
Okay.
And be like, oh, I really liked when we did that. And then we'll try to mimic it.
Okay.
And actually, in one of the originals that I have, we took something that we liked from an open mic that we did and then added it into the original to remain and stay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's my favorite part of the song now.
Yeah, well, but I think what's cool about that too is like, and I don't want to assume that I'm right. I'm picking your brain here, but is it fair to say that there are, though, some compositions that are played that way, fresh and new, once and only once, because you can't really repeat.
Right.
It's not like we have this song and here's the song.
Right.
It's new and in the moment.
Absolutely. It's all about emotion.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
cool.
can't play a happy song if I'm not feeling happy.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me continue doing music, is it always has to be emotion first.
Yeah.
And I will enjoy it more that way.
Yeah.
So wherever it goes.
I love it. That sometimes like when I watch a movie and someone's like, the main character can play an instrument and they're so good at it, I'm always like, damn, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like my dad used to, when I was a kid, he would play guitar. He played guitar, and like I was just, as a kid, first of all, I was just like, why didn't he ever teach me how to play guitar? A, but B, I just remember as a kid being like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, my brother-in-law can play guitar pretty well. And so the reason why I bring it up is because it's like this, like, what a beautiful way to channel yourself. It's different in its own way. It's not like an artist that paints.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. And I think that's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
And the work that you can do. But to make something that you can sonically experience, that's got to be a pretty cool experience. Do you ever just like, do you ever create music just to be like, this isn't anything I'm actually going to be working on, I just want to
all the time.
F around?
Yeah, all the time. Typically on those nights when I just want to dabble in it, if I have the opportunity and I'm not too tired, that's typically what I'll do. Just play.
Yeah.
Just because it feels great, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to create more solidified stuff. But yeah, definitely want to. I'm working on 2 new songs and trying to get that structure done, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
So the opportunity I have to just mess around is so necessary.
Yeah.
And just have fun with it. And not lose sight of that part.
So one of the things I wanted to get into, and I don't like to ever push or prod if this is uncomfortable for you. We don't have to go there. But you had mentioned that there's some difficult situations right now living where you're living.
Yeah.
Are you okay sharing like what's going on right now in your life?
Yeah. So I'm thinking about how to word it a polite way. I live in an apartment with my boyfriend and his mother.
Okay.
And I feel uncomfortable. It's not that the apartment is super small, but it's small.
Okay, fair enough,
you know. And the space to freely express myself isn't there. I'm shy and nervous to talk. I like to sing and play my music out loud.
Okay.
Because her work hours are different than mine. So when I'm not home, well, now they're different. They used to not be different, but now when I'm not home, she's not home.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, so I don't have that
when
space.
you're finally home to be creative or work on some or have some space,
Yeah.
it's not always available to you.
Right. And love her dearly.
No, yeah, I dig it.
Absolutely. But it is hard to, yeah, it's not there. So there's some things where I'm like, maybe I move back home with my parents just so I can have the opportunity to keep creating and see where it goes.
Yeah. No, yeah. I can, not that I know it that well, but I know it enough to where I've had my own experiences in life where I'm like, I like to have my own space.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anybody can really argue that.
Right.
I think especially for a creative, it's difficult. For me, there's times where I kind of would like to just be alone with my thoughts.
Yep.
And the world kind of continues to move around me the way it does, and I'm like, I can't really be upset with anybody, but for crying out loud.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like
you need an outlet.
Yeah.
And when that outlet isn't there, you just feel like you're sitting with a pit in your stomach,
Yeah.
and you need that space to express yourself.
Yeah.
And especially if you're creative and you have a artistic skill that just, it's not even an artistic skill, it's just like an innately in you.
Yeah.
And you need to get it out.
Yeah. One thing I appreciate about my wife is that she's always been like super supportive, and even when she didn't understand it, she was always like, she does what she can with the girls to get them out of the way. And but I do understand there's nowhere else to go, and like even what I'm doing right now with the podcast, like I have to turn my house sort of like into this.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and the visuals look great when you're watching it, but nobody really understands, like, I have to put it all away so my family has a family room again.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, I need a space. I probably need a studio space, and my wife's like, but I love it when you do it here, and I'm like, I appreciate it, but for crying out loud.
But
like,
you want that.
You know,
it's definitely understandable.
I think sometimes at the end of the day, I'm always like, I guess it could be worse. Like, it's like, but then I'm like, but I should be allowed to like, these are normal feelings to have. You know, like it's just this up and down juggling act that you do as somebody that just wants to honor what you've been given, this gift that you've been given.
Yep.
So I can appreciate that. I obviously I don't want to put you in a position to feel like you have to watch your wording. But I can understand that. I think there's several people out there that can probably relate to that as well. So considering that, then how is you're not really keen on a social life.
Right.
Your living situation is the way it is. Are you given any space, music aside, to just kind of be, to just be?
Yeah.
But besides the drive, because that's my time.
That's really it.
I think my wife can agree with that as well. Like the drive is the only time we have to really be. To be.
I agree. That's why I'm so content with driving an hour.
Yeah.
And I have a blast in my car.
Yeah.
Music's all the way. I will be deaf when I'm older.
Where are you driving from?
Lancaster City to Lebanon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's up there in an hour. But I don't mind it. I definitely don't mind it.
Gotcha.
I need that space. And like I said, I have fun in the car. Blast the music, sing loud. I'll play beats and try to sing on top of them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of I guess that is like my musical outlet right now for the time being. But I am looking for change soon.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have this necklace on. It says 555. It's not 666. But...
In case anybody saw her wear this necklace.
In case anybody was wondering. It does almost look like it, but no. It is 555. Apparently those numbers represent positive change that's going to come.
Okay.
So I am riding with that. So
okay.
It's just a necklace, just a material, but it helps to remind me of that I don't know. I'm not a materialistic person, but it's just a good reminder that where I'm at right now is just temporary.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you find solace in having those type of reminders in your life to kind of keep you grounded?
Yeah.
Because you don't seem to be somebody that gets caught up in the temporary frustration, because that's really what it is. It's temporary.
Yeah.
How easy is that for you? Does that roll off your back pretty easily, or no?
I'll be honest. I can hide it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely hide it well, but there is that. It's like a storm cloud. It's like I just want things to change already.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point where it's like I'm working so hard. I want to be able to afford my own place and things like that, and seeing it not into fruition yet.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how much harder do I have to work?
Sure.
you know. So, yeah, I do mask it well, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge to kind of face every day, where you're like, I just want to have my space and I want to create, but I can't.
Where in your life did you learn to be as patient as you are? Is that always how you've been? Is that something you learned from family growing up?
So I remember going to a church camp when I was a kid, and this lady I've never met before came up to me and said, "You have the gift of patience."
Oh, wow.
And I didn't understand it at the time, because I feel like my dad would be like, "No, I'm definitely not patient." But and my mom probably would be like, "No, not patient."
Yeah, we're going to rebuttal that.
Yeah, because I can be quite impulsive. But also, I definitely had to entertain myself a lot as a kid, and was always, ever since I can remember, it was some form of art, creative medium that I would entertain myself with.
Yeah.
And we didn't have much when I was living in New York, and so it's hard to see where the patience came from, because as I do get older, I do realize that I am patient, but as a kid I don't really recall like having. I'm trying to think.
Were your parents patient people?
Yeah, very hardworking.
Sure.
Really hardworking. So I think, but at the same time, not very.
Okay.
My mom wasn't very.
Okay.
My mom's not very patient. My dad is.
Yeah.
So maybe I did get it from him.
I feel like because children typically, and as a teacher, you know this, they absorb the energy around them, and obviously they're not even aware that they're doing it. But you know, people like my wife and I are very passionate people.
Yeah.
I've learned as I get older that I can't be as passionate as I was when my two oldest were little.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more patient with my children. But the reason why I bring that up is because our daughters are so passionate.
Really? Okay.
They're so everything.
Yeah.
They're happy. Their happiness and their sadness is passionate.
Yeah.
They're so dramatic with everything. And it's just like, where are you getting this from? It's like, no, you're getting it from us.
It's you guys, yeah.
You know? So and I'm just getting to know you now.
Yeah.
But it's clear to me how very patient you seem to be, very stoic in your own way. And what I'm gathering from that too then also is like there is no need for wasted energy. Right? It's almost like I don't the energy that I'm taking on, I'm deliberately taking on. I'm choosing to take it on. Life is, you said, we only have one life.
Yep.
So these are things that you keep in mind often.
Yeah.
The the ability to choose how you absorb this life the best you can.
Yeah.
Because life is going to happen the way it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
But you said your father would more than likely be the patient one. You said you're from New York?
Yeah, from New York.
Where in New York are you from?
So, lived in Corona, Queens
for
2 years. And then I lived in Staten Island for 6 years.
Okay.
So I moved here when I was 8. So still young.
Okay.
But it is home.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's always home. My abuelo live over there. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you said abuelo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cuban.
Cuban?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Puerto
my mom
Rican.
is really awesome.
Okay.
My mom is Ukrainian though.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really odd.
So talk to me about that then. So your
Yeah.
father's Cuban
Yeah.
and your mother's Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And they met in New York, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So actually, no, Connecticut.
Okay, I was close. See,
Yeah,
I'm trying.
very close. Very close. Very close. So both my parents are first generation American.
Okay.
But their families, their parents were from those two countries, and they met in a bowling alley in Connecticut. My dad, a bit of a thug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his parents said, "You need to leave, and you need to go to school." So he said, "Okay, I need to go to school." And my dad is the smartest person I've ever met in my life. And went to school, worked at a bowling alley, changed his life around a whole lot, and met my mom in a bowling alley, saw her, and said, I want her number. And
Wow.
yeah, it's a cute story. And they've been together since she was 15 and he was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that they stayed together and all those things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, very grateful.
When you mentioned that your parents are first generation Americans, and my mom was born in Lancaster, but then while she was a couple months old, moved to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Was there until she was 7 and came back to Lancaster.
Yep.
My father was born in Puerto Rico but moved here. But I still feel like that first generation American experience applies to them in a way. But definitely my grandparents came and they met while picking tomatoes in the tomato field.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like those stories where it's just like it's hard to maintain a marriage.
Yeah.
When we think of your parents together since 15 to 17. My parents they divorced after 21 years.
Yeah.
I'm on my second marriage, but my wife and I we're locked in. We know it.
Yeah.
When you have an experience like that, you see your parents.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the Ukrainian side, but as a Latino, I know Latinos are very. The culture is heavy. It's very family oriented. The love is there.
Yeah.
Does that play a role in how passionate you are about your music? Not so much the content, but the passion that goes into it. It's not like I want to make hits. It's you're really all about the art.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned you were really passionate as well as your wife.
Yeah.
And then you talked about how your daughters are happy, passionate, sad. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I feel things so heavy. And yeah, it's not for me, and not about being famous or making a big hit. I mean, those things making a hit would be awesome.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think anyone would deny that. But for me, it's the driving force is I have to express this passion somehow, because without it, I think I'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, because right now I feel crazy since I can't express it too much.
No, but I dig it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's I can't, when you can't explain it, it's a very strong, I can't even think of the word. I'll say emotion, but that's not the word that I'm thinking of. But it's very strong.
Yeah.
And to not put something into words only solidifies how important it is.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. I'm glad we got into that because I kind of like paints a more of a bigger picture for me here
Yeah.
because um, I can see things a little bit more clearly now. You have a father who's very patient.
Mhm.
But as Cuban people, like, are you, Puerto Ricans, we get the rap for being very loud and boisterous. Did you
Yeah.
grow up in a family household similar to that?
Oh,
And
so loud.
okay,
It's so loud. Always loud. Strong personalities in my
yeah,
family.
yeah,
Whew. And my brother lives in Australia now.
okay,
And he came to visit not long ago. We fought, and it's messy. It's
yeah,
just such strong over here, strong over there. My mom is like the peacemaker. She's like, no, we gotta love each other.
yeah,
Enough is
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm over here with, but that wasn't right. It's just, we all have just really strong personalities. And then my abuelo, he's very loud and my favorite person in the world, but he's loud. My abuela, though, she's very quiet,
Yeah.
very quiet. But my aunt is pretty quiet. My uncle's pretty quiet. But when we're all together, you know what? We're all really quiet. But when we're together, it's loud
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Really interesting. My mom's side, there's unfortunately both her parents passed away really young, and she was the only child, and
Okay.
her parents were divorced, so we don't really know anybody on that side.
I got you.
So that kind of sucks. It would have been
Yeah.
nice. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn Ukrainian now, and
Okay, cool.
yeah, trying to learn the language. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. I mean, at least
Yeah.
that shows kind of um, like as you get older, you lean more into sympathy and empathy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of
Right.
like, yeah, how can I be a better person? I'm assuming that when I say that, it's looking at your mom, uh, understanding the situation there with her parents, understanding that the history there is hard to find. There's
Yeah.
nobody else to really talk to.
Right.
You don't realize how important that is until you get older, because it's kind of like, I would like to kind of connect the dots
Right.
about who I am and who my family is.
Mhm.
Which in its own way is just like a dope way to accept the fact that you're growing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't even care to know that.
I know, and I can't imagine. I'm so curious. I'd love to do the ancestry tree,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's has to be family over there, but we just don't know. Like my mom was saying, she knows she has cousins, but I think that her father's second marriage. So she's like, I know there's family over
Yeah.
there. I don't know. It's all combobulated.
Yeah. I can appreciate that.
But definitely, I would love to learn more about that side and that culture.
Well, preserving history is like part of the reason why I'm doing the podcast also, is it gives people an opportunity to kind of have their words in the ether out there,
Yeah.
so that one day family can say,
Aw.
hey, look
Yeah.
at abuela, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
let's go listen to her talk
Oh.
from so many years ago, and we can hear
Right.
and see for ourselves, because
Wow.
we don't have that.
Right.
We don't have, like, there's one of the things that I tell my kids, it's a pretty trippy thought, is like, at one point I'm going to be 100 years removed from this life, and there will be great grandchildren of mine that I'll never meet.
Right.
But it's my duty to do what I got to do to put things in motion so that there's a shot,
Right.
And 100 years before me, there was somebody doing the same thing. Maybe they weren't really thinking about it the same way, but like, to be able to reach back there and be like, can I just pick your brain, or let me just
Right.
watch you? What a cool experience that would be.
Yeah.
Just to be like, that's where I'm from.
That's my past.
That's my past.
Yeah. I always get excited when I see just photos.
Yeah, my wife loves photos. Yeah, same.
And now kind of thinking how you mentioned that it was like this is one of the reasons why you started your podcast. Me looking at a photo and I could kind of create something in my head. Oh, wow, probably like this. She was like that. But to hear them talk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be pretty cool?
That would be cool.
Yeah, and I've done that too. I've looked at old photos and just been like, I wonder what was going on in this day.
Yeah, in that moment.
What happened that morning? What happened? Yeah, time travel movies, always, I loved them as a kid.
Yeah.
Especially like the Back
to the Future.
Yeah, it was just like, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I can appreciate that. That's a pretty dope vibe too. Ukrainian and Cuban was there. You said your mom was the peacemaker.
Yeah.
The dynamics of a Ukrainian and a Cuban, are they similar in regards to like passion and culture, or are they different? Like, was your mom also that same type of?
Yeah. My mom is definitely passionate.
Yeah.
Very passionate. My dad as well, very passionate. So I would say, and they both are extremely hard workers. So I can actually gather where I get like work ethic from and that passion from them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a pretty cool conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really enjoying it. One of the things that when I'm wrapping up my interviews, I like to I stopped doing it, but I go back to it because it's just something I love to do, is like really considering what we're talking about. What when you talk about having control, and you mentioned the path, the vision.
Yeah.
You mentioned music theory. You mentioned a lot of different things that could take place once this part of your journey is over in regards to teaching and a shift in music. Where do you want to go? Like, what's really is there an end game or a phase that you want to be like, this is where I would like to be by this point in my life?
Right. Yeah, I think I want to move abroad one day. And I would love to, it's kind of veering off the music side, but I can give, I guess, both points. I would love to build a school one day in Ukraine to kind of give back to that side of my family. And I want to do something that's outside of public education and get away from all that. And I would love to be a linguist, because I'm doing my master's in teaching English as a second language.
Okay.
So I would love to be a linguist and go to different countries and just help. And if you feel guilty because you're like, I'm going to just push English on you. I'm just like, here, take it. But I promise it's not what I want to do. So I sometimes I don't know if I really should do that. But I just want to, it's the universal business language.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it is. And I would love to work with kids, teach kids, just do a lot of community work.
Yeah.
I want to give back to the world somehow for people who don't have the opportunities that I had growing up. And musically, I would like to tour one day. And yeah, I would definitely like to tour, do like an East Coast tour, maybe to start.
Yeah.
And then maybe go out west.
Yeah.
I want to perform more.
Yeah.
I want to perform more. I want to step away from the keys and have a band behind me. And I think the spot where I know I'd be really happy and content would be performing in like bigger cities like New York and little venues where people come out and you're not famous, but people are like, wow, that was really, it was a memorable experience. And I would love to provide people with experiences that are memorable that they can take home with them and share. So that's where I think that's the spot.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Even one of the things that's woven through all that is like the act of giving back.
Yeah, giving back.
Right, like it's important to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's cool to think about, because I know I have all these ideas and plans, but to kind of lay it out just now is motivating.
Well, I'll be honest, you're not the first person to say that, which is why I like asking that question.
Right.
Really, it's like this opportunity should be looked at as, have you ever thought of, look at what you're doing, ... Put into consideration what we talked about, ... Like, there's a lot of people that are busy doing everything they can to keep going, but not really understanding the impact of what they've already been doing, what that means, like to not so much to everybody else, but to yourself, like wow, look how much I've done. Like it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel guilty for like celebrating themselves,
celebrating their successes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's like there's nothing wrong with that at all, because you're gonna doom and gloom yourself. You might as well celebrate yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to be your biggest advocate and your number one supporter.
Yeah.
Because you live with yourself, and we are making successes each day.
Yeah.
Celebrate them. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, Emaylia, I'm very grateful that I've gotten this conversation. I know we had a little hiccup with the cameras, but I think we're going to be all right.
Cool.
I can edit that out. No one's going to know.
No one will know. They're not even going to know. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was really nice to share a piece of myself with you and create that relationship.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's it. We're done.
Awesome. Thank you.